property tax relief is hugely important to all of us, all across the state. But we've worked together, legislators in my office, to do things like consolidate the police and fire pension programs so that we can reduce costs, increase returns, so that there's less pressure on local property taxes, and so many other things that we've engaged in that I think are affecting those things that are important to people here in Rockford. I want to thank the mayor for his partnership. He has been strong and clear about what Rockford needs. He has worked with the local legislators and directly with me to make sure that we're pressing forward with the things that will bring relief to families here in Rockford, and also to bring business and new jobs and new life to this area. And it is just always great to be back in Rockford. I want to say to my friends in the General Assembly to my right, Maurice West and Dave Vella, I really look forward to working together this session as we bring much needed relief to all Illinois families. For too many years, state government couldn't balance its budgets or pay its bills on time. And after decades of credit downgrades and fiscal instability, things are really finally looking up. Illinois will end this fiscal year with a $1.7 billion budget surplus, the first of its kind in over 25 years. So we're going to build back Illinois' rainy day fund. You may recall, well, it's hard to recall really when we had a strong rainy day fund, but I just want to remind you why that's important, because when you have the potential at any moment really for fiscal calamity, challenges, having a fund available to help us get through that, hugely important. We saw why that was important 22 months ago when COVID came and our revenues dropped significantly. Would have been great if we had had a rainy day fund to rely upon. I'll remind you that the average state in the United States has about a month of expenditures covered by their rainy day funds. Illinois, before this, had 15 minutes of our expenditures covered. So this is a huge, important advance for our state and making it, stronger and better for the future. We're also going to pay down our pension debt, saving taxpayers $1.8 billion over the coming years. That's not something you hear much about in the past, but now we're not only paying the minimum required, but also making sure that we're advancing the effort to lower the liabilities that are owed in our pension system. And most importantly, we're going to offer $1 billion of tax relief to Illinois residents right now, amidst the crunch of rising prices for food and gas and property taxes. It's called the Illinois Family Relief Plan, and it starts with immediate property tax relief, up to $300 back to nearly 2 million Illinois taxpayers. And that's money that can go toward family outings in downtown Rockford, bringing your family right here to the Discovery Center and along the river. This is money that really is much needed by families across Illinois, and especially as prices are showing to be rising. And as you saw this morning, an announcement that over the last month anyway, they're rising at an annualized 7.5%. I'm very hopeful that those numbers will come down, but in the meantime, we should do everything we can to support families through this inflationary period. Property tax relief is a very high priority, and whenever we can, we need to see how we can reduce the burden. We'll also be cutting the state tax on groceries this coming fiscal year, putting an additional $360 million back in the pockets of Illinois residents. And we're going to freeze the gas tax for a year, holding the rates down at the pump and putting $135 million back in people's pockets without delaying any of the infrastructure projects that the motor fuel tax funds. Just to remind you, we all know that there are roads and bridges. You've experienced the work that's been done on them over the last 2.5 years since we passed a capital bill, and it's really helping. We have the #1 infrastructure now in the entire nation in Illinois, and we're continuing the work. We have years, in fact, of upgrades that we're bringing, new bridges and upgrades to roads, patching roads, new roads, airports and water ports across the state, river ports that need investment. And this gas tax freeze doesn't affect any of that. We'll still be able to do it because IDOT's done such a great job of putting the money at work and keeping everything on budget or under budget and on time. You don't hear that a lot about Illinois state government, but it is now true. These actions build on a series of supports that I've fought for to help working families address the kitchen table issues that they are facing, especially as we recover from this pandemic, like rent relief and mortgage assistance and bringing down the cost of childcare and expanding childcare availability. We're working to help residents make ends meet when they need it most. Whether it's supply chain issues or global oil prices, we can't pick the ways that the pandemic affects our lives. But what government must do is to soften the impact in the ways that we can. And so I'm very proud of the Illinois Family Relief Plan, the work that we're going to do to try to bring that relief to everybody.